I had 2 years of Latin in high school and 1 year of French. Je peux seulement un peu de français. But I didn't have Spanish. So I had to learn donde está el baño. You know what that means? Where's the bathroom? I figured that was the most important thing to learn. Anyway, they sent me to Bolivia in 1973-74. And I lived with one family the entire year, which is so unlike the Rotary program, at least back then. Usually had at least 2 families. And remember my family approaching me saying, we'd really like you to stay, it's your choice. They went to Rotary and solicited to keep me. And that's because I was a goody two-shoes, and the other exchange students, apparently La Paz from the States, decided it was off to college freedom. But anyway, I did stay with one family, and my family, I did bring pictures at the end if you want to look. My family consisted of Luis and Magna Bert. I called them my mama, papa, my mother and father, and I had my Bolivian sister was Maria del Carmen, which is, we called her Maria Carmen, and Luis. Luis was an exchange student in New Jersey the first 6 months that I was in Bolivia, and then he came home. So, and I had his room for the first 6 months all by myself. Then I moved in with my sister in her, Maria Carmen's room. But Bolivia, I don't know if you know much about this country. It is in South America, the central part of South America, and it's landlocked. This is significant because I'll never forget, I wasn't down there that long, and I had on my mantilla, a white, like a lab coat, and I marched with my school, Sagradas Corazones. Marched, and what it was for a celebration of it's landlocked. Bolivia is a landlocked nation. They have no port, and in their history, as a student in high school, and I went to a school called Sagradas Corazones, Sacred Heart, an all-girls Catholic school, and I was not Catholic, so I had a whole nother experience there. But I marched with the other students for celebration of remembrance, because at one time they were Upper Peru, part of Peru, and then they had their independence and separated, but they lost their port, their seaport. So the kids would say, Ferrocarril, carril, carril, Arica, La Paz, un paso atrás, atrás, atrás. Ferrocarril is a railroad from Arica, La Paz. From Arica is Peru to La Paz, which was really the capital. And I actually looked it up last night. I think they have Sucre as the capital now, but the seat of government is La Paz. But when I was there, Sucre was the historical capital, but La Paz, for all intents and purposes, was considered the capital. I had so many experiences that, I mean, I could actually talk forever. The year changed my life in so many ways. But while I was there, I was only there like 2 months, and my sister, Maria Carmen, worked as a secretary in the university, Universidad de San Andrés. And I went down there to attend some function, and I'm walking down into this large building, and there are all these students all around gathering, and someone's speaking. Now, I didn't know the language. I didn't know the language, and I'm coming in, and all of a sudden I hear bang, bang. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I thought they were shots. Here it was gas bombs, and my Bolivian sister is upstairs, and it's a large staircase going up like this and then like that, and she's at the top of the staircase screaming, "Banga, Susie, banga, come Susie, come." So while everyone's trying to get out of the building, I'm trying to go up. Yeah, well, I made it up, and I tell you this because, I mean, this is my early experiences as an exchange student. Anyway, I went right through that gas bomb that went off, or whatever it was. I'm coughing like crazy. They practically threw me out of the window on the 2nd floor, opened the thing, hung on to me, and I coughed out there. Then we hid in a closet until after the police came. They hauled off, took people, put them in jail. Yeah. So that was my...
These were protesters or something.
Yeah, yeah. What had happened is President Pinochet, there was... an overthrow of President Allende in Peru, and Pinochet, it was even government backed. There's a lot you can read about it with the CIA and all the U.S. backing and all of that, but and that's how things were back then. But there were students who were in the stadium, and the story was that they were being slaughtered and killed. And so students were protesting in the university over the circumstances. But at the time, I had no idea what was going on. I had another experience, to tell you these dramatic ones. There was an attempt to overthrow the government while I was there, and the tanks came down from the airport, which is high in the Altiplano, and Bolivia has this Altiplano, this high area, and the tanks come down, but it didn't amount to anything because the President Hugo Banzer Suarez, was not present in the palace building, so it totally flopped. But while I was there, I was told there were more years of coups d'etats, attempts to overthrow the government, than years of independence. But I'm surprised now, looking back, that Rotary did send me to Bolivia because President Banzer was a dictator. He was a general. He came into power not through democracy. Now they have elections and all of that. But so now I look back and I have, I wonder. I can tell you as well, I love the food there. I got to tell you, I put on weight while I was down there. I had my hair cut real short and had it really long in high school, and my mom had me scalped, really, layered real short, and I spent the whole year growing it out. The only thing cut was the bangs. But anyway, the food, my favorite foods were fried bananas and salteñas. Salteñas we don't have around here. You can get fried bananas, platanos, in some of the Chinese restaurants. But salteñas, the only place in this country I've had them were in New York in some Bolivian restaurant. They were dough, and inside you could break it open or bite it open, and they would sell it like after church in the Prado, in the downtown city I lived in La Paz. So they had like pollo, chicken, and rice, and a lot of broth in it, and you would just sip it out and eat it. It was very good. The country itself, I had an opportunity to travel the country, and like everything you can imagine is there. There's the Altiplano, there's jungles, and actually I think it was just yesterday or whatever, recently this month in the Wall Street Journal was an article about people that are riding bicycles in Bolivia, and I believe it's Las Yungas, but they're on this road that's called the Deadliest Road. And I remember being in a Jeep. My family had a Jeep, and they drove like crazy people, okay? And I'm telling you, you drove, and it was a cliff down there. This was going down from the Altiplano, going down into jungle area, and then going up high, and everything. It was really narrow roads. Everyone hit the horn. It was not enough that two cars could pass. When a car was coming, somebody was going up kind of the side of the mountain a little bit so you could clear. I'm telling you, if my parents had any real idea, I don't think they would have been thrilled about some of the experiences. And I never spoke, unlike today where we have, phones and like this, and I didn't speak to my parents for one entire year. Well, you couldn't make a collect call, and money I was really tight on, and I made one phone call. It was from a ham operator confirming my flight home. So the entire year, the Rotary Club had given me a cassette player, and once a month I did a cassette tape and sent it to the Rotary clubs so they could hear what my experiences were. And I wrote like you cannot believe. I wrote home every day. So I said some of the areas, and there's jungles. There's also the most southern province, like state, was Tarija, and in Tarija, they're very sing-songy in their Spanish, so it was really, really pretty, and everything is, ¿Cómo estás? It's not ¿Cómo estás? It's sing-songy, and a lot more people are what they call rubia, and I was considered gringuita la bonita, not because I'm pretty, meaning pretty gringo is money backs, but it was a very positive thing, and I think it's because I took the opportunity. I took my guitar down, I played guitar, and I learned to play the guitar, and I'm taking this, right now I'm having a mandolin restored, but after he restores that, I'm hoping to get this restored, because it's fallen to pieces over the years from many moves. But I had learned to play this instrument, which was made especially for me. It was Susan Louise Weidman, that was my maiden name. And you can see it needs to be restored, but it's made from the back of an armadillo. Oh. It's very interesting. I learned to play this and sing to this, and there were songs like Viva mi patria Bolivia, un gran amor, por ella doy mi vida, cambia mi corazón. That's like a national song where we pledge the, live on my country Bolivia, and that you love it. Well, this is made by the people are basically, of the population, there's Quechua and Aymara Indians, and a lot of the Indians that live in the city, the women, they call them cholas, and they wear these big, big skirts even today, and they wear bolo hats. You might see pictures of them on, some of the history channels and things. And they get jobs as like maids and things like that, but there's still a great population. I think it's like 55% is still the Indian, actually from the Incas, and they have like really 36 some different languages, but mostly it's Aymara, Quechua, and Spanish-speaking people. You go into a marketplace, and I got that. That's why one of the pictures, I have it on while the rest of them have normal coats on. But they were sending me home, and I went home with the traditional poncho type thing. And then that's llama. And one of the things I had to practice in front of a mirror, because I would say llama, and it's not llama. Like Spanish in Spain is different than Spanish in Costa Rica or in Mexico or in Argentina. Che, como le va? It's a different Spanish. Well, there I had to learn in Bolivia, llama. That's how you say it, llama. It's a whole, had to practice it. So, but my head hurt for 2 months straight. They threw me in school, and all I heard was Spanish. I mean, no English. And you can see, I like to talk, so it was hard. It was really, really hard. The students, you know what they used to do? They would take a piece of paper, and they would write down Madre Asunta, Mother Asunta. They fold it. Estaba con, these are, high school girls who were, I think, so much less mature than where we came from, co-ed high schools. And the estaba con was with, and then they fold it over, and then they pass it to another girl, and she'd write somebody. It might be padre, whoever, and then they'd write where they met, and they fold and fold it. Then they'd give it to me, the American kid, and have me read it. Before I really understood Spanish, I'm trying to read it, and they'd laugh like crazy. So that one year so influenced me. I came back and I went to Drew University, which is in Madison, New Jersey. I participated in 3 very special semesters. One was at the United Nations. One was in London, which was a competitive program, and the students didn't come just from Drew, they came from all over the United States. I was very fortunate to be selected. And so I was in London as a result of being there, good or bad. I sold my ticket home, and I hopped on a really cheap trip to Russia, to Moscow at a time in the 70s where you couldn't leave from the United States unless you had a tour guide. And the last one was Washington, D.C. And I worked for my Congressman Gus Yatrin from Berks County, and I interned for the OAS, the Organization of American States, as well. And I took one class at George Washington University during that semester. I'm going to tell you, even now, being a pastor, I can look back to that year. Do you know, I had a real commitment to my faith summer of, after 10th grade. And senior year, I'm in Bolivia. What I had to read in English was my Bible. And someone sent me the Daily Bread. And I'm going to tell you, I really read a lot. It was, I really did, and prayed a lot. And I mean, for a high school kid from a small town, from Shoemakersville, we're just half an hour east of here, Shui. People said to me, "Are you crazy?" And I just had the sense that this is what I was supposed to do. And in school, I actually interviewed with a lot of government agencies and was made one offer. And I actually decided to go with an international corporation, Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, and I worked for them for 30 years before this. But I got to tell you, if anyone needs to know how inspiring this program is, I can tell you it changed my life, and I'm truly, truly indebted to Rotary.